need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
All right, this first question comes in from Dennis, who is writing in, it's Marcie Dennis. I thought it was Dennis, but then I saw. Okay, writing from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Oh, that sounds amazing, Marcie. I would like to be there right now. That sounds amazing. Okay, you write, Betsy, I'm struggling to nail down my style due to the current necessity to keep much of the furniture I already own. My feeling word is cozy, but I prefer to blend two design styles. My original intent was boho modern when we moved in, but I'm trying to decide on the finishing touches, and I'm finding that I have a lot of transitional feeling pieces that I cannot replace. Is my space actually Modern Farmhouse, which was a design choice for me at one point in time? I'm afraid I went too far forward with the boho style before realizing that my furniture really doesn't fit with it. Any suggestions as to what style you see here and how to create cozy modern, something that I want with these things that I have? I have to keep the modern for my hubby. I'm more flexible. Your help is much appreciated. I am at a loss in my own home. Oh no. Oh no. I'm stuck for you, Marcie, but let's dig in. So, yeah, I'm scrolling through your pictures and all of this stuff. I don't mean some, I mean pretty much every piece of furniture that I see is transitional. You have rolled arm sofas that are brown. You have two very big, bulky recliners that have a transitional look for sure. Your dining chairs have a very curved, slatted, almost stickly furniture style vibe because they are so wood oriented, but the curves kind of lend it towards that transitional style. You have a white bookcase in the back that has beadboard behind and looks very Pottery Barn. You know, the one thing that I would say before we start figuring out the style is that there's just a lot of furniture cramped into this small space. For me, that is an issue. You know, next to the door, you have a small black storage unit, a little end table. Next to that bookcase I just talked about that looks like it might be from Pottery Barn with either beadboard or shiplap in the back. Then you have a black trunk, and on the other side of the door, you have a wooden piece of furniture. There's just a lot densely packed into this room, which deeply concerns me because then you have three bookcases, two TVs, or no, those must be monitors for this desk. There's just a lot going on. My first question would be to you, what can we eliminate? Rather than saying, Betsy, I need to keep everything, I would take a critical look around this space because to me, it appears that some of these pieces are not doing much work. They're not actually contributing to storage and they're making it look visually cluttered. I would reduce as much as possible. But I think you're right to lock in on the fact that you have a deeply transitional space. Your rug is an updated Persian style. I'm not seeing anything boho in here. I don't know. Am I missing the memo? I don't see boho. I don't really see Modern Farmhouse. I think you are at a true crossroads, Marcie. You have stuff that's a little bit all over the place. And there's a lot of stuff all over the place. I would start by eliminating as much as possible and then trying to find the through line in what is actually left over. Because I don't think you have a solid sense of style, nor do you have a clear color palette, nor do I see an inspiration piece. I am concerned. I'm concerned that we are keeping a lot of different pieces that do not currently have any sort of through line. And I would be more worried about getting that through line than I would be about incorporating a modern style. Like if you need to keep a lot of these pieces, modern is not the way it's going to go. I only see one piece that looks modern, and that's the TV stand, which is black with silver hardware, frosted glass fronts on the drawers. Other than that, I'm not seeing the modern, and I think you'd have to scrap a lot of this to embrace that as your style word. And the thing is, guys, you might have heard me say this before, maybe you haven't, but you said you're only keeping the modern word for your husband. Just don't tell him your 2-word phrase. He may not know if this is modern or not. Don't share that with him. One of the people I was on a coaching call with the other day for the academy was like, Betsy, what if your client doesn't agree with the 2-word phrase you create? And I think I've told you this story. One of my first clients, I shared with her my 2-word phrase, the filter through which I bought all of her furniture. One was the style word, one was the feeling word. And I felt really clear that she was rock and roll romance. I wanted this feeling to be rock and roll. She was so edgy. She loved zebra print. She loved bands. She loved Guns N' Roses. She loved just hardcore rock and roll stuff, but she also wanted her place to look like it could be in Paris with filigreed metal, intricate carvings. She loved Paris and Europe in general. And there was this very strong dichotomy that I wanted to completely embrace. And I thought it made for a compelling space. Well, I was in the middle of designing, already making selections that she was excited about. And she's like, Betsy, tell me what you're thinking my style is. So I revealed my 2-word phrase and she got so upset. She's like, that is not me. I am not rock and roll. I am edgy. Now, to me, those 2 words could feel the same, could be the same, but everybody has different associations and connotations with words. And maybe your husband thinks that this rolled arm sofa in this brown kind of tan fabric is modern. Don't tell him that it's not. Don't correct him. Don't tell my client, actually, that's rock and roll and not edgy. Like, she can feel what she feels. The 2-word phrase is a tool for me as her designer, or for me as the person designing my own space, so that I stay very clear on what I'm looking for when I'm shopping, and I'm creating a cohesive design that's centered around my style word and my feeling word. I think it is a huge issue, trap, problem, mistake to share your 2-word phrase with your clients or with your spouse in this case. That is not something they need to know. They need to know whether they like the piece or they don't like the piece. They need to know whether they like your vision or they don't like your vision. They need to, of course, weigh in on your budget, but they do not need to know your 2-word phrase, and I do not tell my clients anymore. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy, who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller, who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.